Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 466. My opponent played d4 and I played d5. Going into the Slav defense, he goes c4 and I go c6. And now you have a 50-50 chance whether you can get the Winawer gambit or not. Well, maybe not quite 50-50, but knight c3 is a pretty common move. It's the second choice here. Knight f3 prevents it. Knight f3 just guards the e5 square, and I just play that way routinely with the white. Although, as you'll see in this video, it's not so greatly to be feared. So if you find yourself in this position, you don't need to panic. So the Winawer gambit starts on this move with e5. Normal play would be knight f6 or e6 defending the pawn, or taking, which is a traditional way of playing the Slav, taking and developing the bishop to f5. And all those are valid ways to play, but the e5 is interesting, and sometimes you catch players off guard a little bit, get them into, even if they know how to play it, they're in a position they're not quite as familiar with. So he took the pawn, which is correct, and then I push on with d4. And this is the idea. You get this knight out of the way, and then you use the queen check to pick up the pawn. And he can block in two different ways. If he blocks with the bishop, then you just grab the pawn immediately. Which is what happened in the game. If he blocks with the knight, then it's important to remember the best play is to bring the knight out and round up the pawn with the knight. It's better for your development. And also, queen takes after knight d2. He can actually win the pawn back, and so you get into some ugly lines there. So after knight d2, you want to come out with knight d7 and win the pawn that way. Okay, but he played the bishop d2 line, the main, well, equal. I can't call that the main line. These are two equally good ways to play. Maybe this is slightly better. And then his knight is under attack, so the knight to g3. Retreat is normal. I develop my knight, and he develops his knight kicking my queen. I go queen to d6. And you see we have followed all the theoretical moves up to this point, and now he plays an early e3. But this is not a bad move, actually. It's you need to put the question to this pawn here at some point. From white's point of view, this pawn is exerting a cramping influence. And after e3, I could play the move c5 and hold on to it, but usually it's best just to take, and it seems to be the case here. And he can take back with either the pawn or the bishop in this case. A lot of times they'll take back with the pawn just to avoid the queen trade. After the bishop takes, if you just want to draw, you can trade queens here and go into a pretty drawn position, but pretty even position. Let's see. Well, white does have an edge in development there. I can't say it's all that even. After you take, he's going to take back with the rook, and he's got three pieces out and a rook on an open file. So yeah, it could be that white's doing okay there. Anyway, I was not tempted to trade queens, but I left the queen there in case he wants to take. If he takes my queen, it helps me by developing my dark squared bishop. So I'm not afraid of the queen trade. I just develop. The most accurate way of playing is actually queen b4 check. And I've seen this in similar lines, so I should have thought of this. I didn't really think of it. If he blocks with the bishop, which is kind of the most natural move, then you can actually grab on b2 and pick up a pawn that way, turn it from a gambit into being down a pawn to being up a pawn. Or you can defend with the queen, and then you can continue developing knight a6 or bishop to e6, targeting the pawn. The queen is defended by the bishop on f8 here, so you don't really need to defend it anymore. So maybe the most accurate way to play. Bishop g4, though, seems okay. Let's see, he plays bishop e2. I go bishop e7. Yeah, at this point, he can take the queen, and now I've lost the tempo developing this bishop. So this is probably not the most accurate way to play. I should probably do something about the queen, either trade it off or go, well, knight bd7. That's interesting. Knight bd7 and maybe castling queenside is an idea here. Okay, so bishop e7 starts to give white a pretty good advantage. He castles, I castle, and he plays h3, kicking my bishop, and I don't want to trade it for the knight, so I dropped it back here. Now queen c2. So he's going to bring a rook to the d file. And it's interesting that that the engine is giving white such a high evaluation. I don't really see it myself. It looks pretty even to me. There's just he has, I have one piece I haven't developed yet, but there's no problem in developing it that I see. Let's see. Here's the problem. He can play knight to g5 and go after this bishop here. And I haven't really got a good answer to that. And that would damage my pawn structure and pick up the bishop pair. So that's the way white can get an advantage here. And so that's my mistake, was not doing something about this bishop and leaving it there as a target. Okay. Anyway, it stays there. That idea stays in the position for a while. He plays rook a d1, play knight b d7. He goes b3. And because he keeps not playing knight g5, the evaluation starts to get more in the range of even. So I go rook a to d8. He plays knight to f5, bring the other knight in, and targeting this undefended bishop here. But this bishop has a good square. Also, well, the chess engine is saying I should just get rid of my problem bishop here by taking it. But this is not bad, developing my bishop here. And he decides to take, which pretty much equalizes. His best way to play for an advantage is to keep the dark squared bishop on by retreating to d2 or by playing knight to d4. And maybe it's a position where white has a little more space, and he's just trying to keep material on. I'm not quite sure what the rationale is there. But anyway, after this trade, things are pretty much equal. We've opened up the d file here. Things will probably be traded off. And so I'm comfortable in this position. He goes knight f to d4 now, blocking the d file. I get my other rook in the center of the board, and he decides to take on e6 at this point, and I can take back with either the knight or the rook. Let's see. The engine is suggesting knight takes is a little more accurate. It's about the same. Okay, and then he decided to trade rooks. So once again, we are in a position which is about even. I'm trying to put a little pressure on his bishop here. The one thing I see from my point of view is this bishop seems to be somewhat hampered by his pawn structure here, so I'm thinking to play against that. He goes knight d4, attacking my rook and defending his bishop. I move the rook away from the attack, and now he goes bishop f3, getting out of the getting out of the pressure. And now I play this move, rook e1, and he takes, and after he takes, I just have a winning tactic. So if you didn't see the game, and if you don't if you don't look at the engine output over here, or rather the game score, because I played the tactic, you might want to treat this as a tactical puzzle or a refresher, in case you've seen it before. After rook e1 and rook takes, what's the tactic here that wins? Okay, well, that's how the game went. I went rook e1, he took, and then I go here check. The king runs to h2, that's the only move, and then I drop back here and check again. And this is a fork between the king and the knight over here. So that just picks up a piece. The rook e1 check, if we back up to the starting position, it's a kind of an easy tactic to spot, because it's in two stages. After rook e1 check and he takes, he's undefended the knight, and then the queen check chases the king to an unfortunate square, and then the check picks up both pieces. So it's easy to miss, because at this point the rook is still defending the knight. Anyway, the way to maintain an even game here, he could have just ignored the he could have just not taken and moved his king instead. He's not ignoring it. He's just moving his king out of check instead of taking the rook, keeping the piece on, keeping the rook defending the knight. And now this check doesn't do anything, because the rook is defended after queen check. Just goes g3, blocking the check. And if I trade rooks, he takes back with the queen. His knight is still defended. And I still have to be careful, watch my back rank, but it's about an even game with correct play. But instead he took, and after these exchanges, he resigned at this point because he was losing a piece, and there's really no compensation. So anyway, a short game, but interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.